Welcome in the ring to each and every one of you. Hope you're well. Hope you're good. Wherever you're joining us from tonight, pace and power. Yeah. You get lashed ahead today. Good to have all of you on the live. Jagdeo, you get lashed ahead today. Lashed ahead. You get lashed ahead. But before we get there, how y'all doing? Welcome in the ring to each and every one of you. Happy to have all of you on the live. Happy to have each and every one. Lashed ahead. Good to have you. Lannis, Allison, Ann, Althea, Shireen, Charles, Lynette. Mandy, we see you there. Come on down. Lester, Sharon, Charlene. Good to have you on the live. Joy Dotson. Good to see you on the live. Gloria Chester. Diamond is in the house, folks. We could start the show now. Marcia, Marlene, Rhonda McDonald, Ibn Lamy, Auntie Sandra Hanover, as I said, on the live. Our sisters on the live. Good to have all of you here with us tonight, folks. Pace and power, boots on the ground. How y'all doing? Tis the weekend. I want you all to know the Barbadians woke up this morning and chose violence. The Barbadians woke up this morning and they chose violence. You want to talk nonsense, but the people country is not a proper destination. They chose violence. Penelope, Grace, and Irwin, Clarexis, Charmley, Richmond, Linda, and Mandy. Good to have all of you good folks on the live. You all know how we see it. We on the live. Kirk Heidekan and all the other folks joining us. Oh, it's such a privilege to have each and every one of you here with us this evening, folks. Welcome. It's such a privilege and a pleasure to see all of you. How you all doing now? Do let us know, folks. Y'all are well? Y'all are good? Anybody interfering with y'all? Anybody troubling y'all, making y'all uneasy, unduly so? Good to have all of you on the live tonight, folks. It's pace and power. It's pace and power. We got to fight. Can't set anybody missing. We need to hold for anybody. Or can we, might we, shall we proceed? Good to have all of you on the live tonight, folks. It's a privilege. Y'all know once you come into 592. Once you come into 592, you got a lot of things to consider. My Lord. You know, we got a lot. One more time. We got a lot of things to consider. But let us begin at the top, folks. Let us begin the way we know how to begin. Good to have all of you with us. That's number one. This is season. Number 2, 3 is the opener. That's what that would take us. That would take us there. To the opener. Tis the season. My God, the madness that is enveloping this poor country. This poor country, thanks to Jagdeo. This poor country went good. There used to be a time you could go to any community and speak your mind. You could politic. You know, do the hustlings. No. Them boys want to tell you whether you can go and whether shall you come. That is what's happening here. You can't even talk to for your rights. You can't even move freely as you'd like to move. And we want to take on the Barbadians. Well, the Barbadians woke up and chose violence. That's why I want you all know. But before we get there, folks, you remember, in the recent past, businessman, philanthropist, Azruddin Mohammed, he hasn't stated when he's running for anything. You know, prefect, mayor, what have you. But it's still the PVP getting banter and talking out the terms. So we saw the assault in Letterkenny. Then we saw the assault on the quarantine. Then anybody get charges yet? Has anybody been charged as yet? Well, the Working People's Alliance, the WPA, fantastic bunch of people, beautiful bunch of people, very bright bunch of people. The WPA, the Working People's Alliance, they had a press conference this week, and they spoke to this very issue, folks. This very issue, violence in elections. You know, in 2020. I know how much of this the Barbadians know, but in 2020, the PPP stoned school buses in this country. The PPP were assaulting, brutalizing police officers in bad settlements. You know, until the lions have their own historians, the tail of the hunt will always favor the hunter. Until the lions have their own historian. Hope you all know that African adage and proverb. Until the lions got their own historians, the tail of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. Yep. Until that day, dream of lasting peace and world citizenship will remain but a fleeting illusion to be pursued, but never attained. Jah Rastafari. We got a lot of things to consider tonight. So let us begin there with what the Working People's Alliance told us this week with election violence. Take a look. It's the opener.
WPA condemns in the strongest terms the recent instances of political violence by members and supporters of the PPP. This development was predictable given the aggressive rhetoric and actions of the PPP over the last 5 years. Led by its General Secretary, the PPP's leadership has left no doubt about its violent intent in pursuit of an agenda of total domination of the state and society. In many regards, it has taken advantage of a political opposition and civil society, which by their lack of resistance of all but legitimize the government's disrespect for the rule of law and its rapid descent into autocracy. In what is nothing short of hypocrisy, the PPP, which has assumed the right to engage in open vote buying in the support base of the opposition, has now declared war on those attempting to woo members and supporters from its traditional base. WPA had noted the deafening silence in some quarters when our party dared to raise the alarm of vote buying under the guise of seeking crossover votes. In fact, members of our leadership were attacked by the government and PPP leaders in the vilest manner and even threatened with political banishment. We were wrongly accused of seeking to deny African Guyanese the right to belong to the PPP and or to vote for that party, and behaving as if we owned the members of that ethnic group. The chickens have now come home to roost. Now that others appear to be using the very vote-buying tactics of the PPP, that party has opted to use political hooliganism and naked violence to defend its supposed political territory. The PPP leadership has justified the violent behavior as understandable, given the fact that those who are courting their supporters are PPP haters. What nonsense. WPA asks the following questions. Does the PPP own Indian Guyanese? Do Indian Guyanese have the right to support political forces other than the PPP? If it is okay for the PPP to bribe African Guyanese in exchange for their votes, why is it not okay for others to similarly bribe Indian Guyanese for their votes? If the PPP has brought progress and development to Guyana, as it claims, why are members of their support base turning against them? Is violence the PPP's preferred method of political engagement? The truth of the matter is that the PPP has been encouraging overt violence among its supporters since 2020. In fact, the PPP has normalized violence as a political tool. The PPP leader often boasts that the PPP is not the old party, that it will do what it takes to defend itself against PPP haters. One remembers the orchestrated violence against women, children, and police officers in the wake of the 2020 elections. We have seen the repeated use of the coercive arms of the state to inflict violence on ordinary citizens perceived to be non-supporters of the ruling party. It should not be surprising then that PPP supporters and members have now resorted to violence against those seeking to campaign in their support base. WPA calls on civil society, the ERC, and the international community to take note of this dangerous development. WPA holds the PPP responsible for any further escalation of violence as we move towards what is already shaping up to be a very contentious election. In our tenuous ethno-political environment, matters can quickly get out of hand. Already, a member of an opposition party has been assaulted and wrongly arrested. His attacker has not been arrested.
Welcome back, folks. Well, we've seen it all in the last 5 years, haven't we? We have seen it all. We saw a woman bite a policeman's hands. Never saw a police station much more court step. But that's how the PPP operates. And that was the Working People's Alliance walking us through what has transpired over the last few weeks. And that's a dangerous trend that the PPP is setting. And the Ghana police force as well, for not going after these people in a very stern way who want to use violence as a method of intimidation. So shame on the Ghana police force, and definitely shame on the People's Progressive Party, who keeps on embarrassing this country. Now internationally, the Barbadians fighting us now woke up this morning and chose violence against Guyanese. But again, we say, it's not all Guyanese feel this way about Barbados. You see, it's the PPP. See, all ensured that all your venom is directed there. All of it. Perhaps we should start there tonight. Perhaps we should start there tonight, folks. The empire struck back today. The empire strikes back. See, all of Mr. Ashuddin Mohammed, businessman and philanthropist, had a little vacation in BIM, in Barbados. He doesn't feel the way Jagdeo feels about Barbados. He doesn't feel the same because clearly he chose to have a little R&R there. Jagdeo went to meet with some American prosecutor and a whole host of things. He focused on the wrong things, you know. Guyanese brothers, he focused on the wrong thing. So there the Mohammeds were, you know, having a little mojito, or what's not, minding their own business, you know. Minding their own business. This thing's so funny. For all intents and purposes, from what we know, the Mohammeds had a very uneventful vacation up until they return home to the cost down, the abuse out, the fight down of the PPP, and in particular, Barath, Jagdeo. I think that's how the Bajans call it. The name, Barath. I'm trying to call him with a straight face. Jagdeo. You see, the people went about their own business. Huh? As per normal, they ain't troubling nobody. You know, they eat a little flying fish, had a little bacon, what's not, and then lick mouth Lizzie. lick mouth Lizzie, turn on them. And by now, my God, you know, like that video of that young lady, Miss Vaughn, the late Miss Vaughn, circulating on social media, and it's really a turn off. You shouldn't do that. That's how this video of the castigation, vilification, shading, mocking of Barbados grows the skin. But an island that our countrymen resorted to and thinking so nice under the Jagdeo presidency. I have an aunt who went and made a life there. Got a husband there, a son there. Barbadians, we're all CARICOM people in lots of regard. And to see this fella, lick mouth Lizzie, slack, say the things that he said about Barbados, crawl my skin. But in the interest of valid and credible information, folks, this is some of what he said. The man from the Concussion Road country. This is what he said. Take a look.
But really, if you go to Barbados, that's not no big destination you're going to. You got to be really desperate to post like your picture on Barbados and say, look, I'm traveling now. It is like, I'm really, it's funny for me, frankly speaking, when you have to just big up Barbados as your big destination you could travel to. A man showed he was in Paris or somewhere else or in Manhattan.
Yeah. Guyanese everywhere. You all ever wake up good? You ever wake up good? I know some of y'all would say, here's what crosses is this. That's how we say it in the vernacular. What crosses is this? You get up, you say your little prayers, you read a psalm on Jagdeo, and all is well with the world. Here they walk through the shadow of the valleys of the 38% tariff. I shall fear no high cost of living. You say your little prayers and you start the day and then something. You ever wake up good? Sharon Mercurius, Conroy Tull, Daphne, Dan, Gladstone. You ever wake up good? Nigel McKenzie? And then there's some cross you got to deal with. If you got a cross to deal with, you got some hope. Where's a cross? Erica Hooper, Carla Smith, David Papin, Everett Small. You get a cross like Jagdeo to deal with. It's done, you're done there. Your whole day, you got to write it up and start afresh tomorrow. You got a cross to deal with. Well, folks, since he uttered those words, and more than that, went after the Mohammeds yet again, Mr. Mohammed has responded. He said, you got a wife and children? Take care of yourself for me, man. I'm happily married. I focus on my family here. Everything, Muhammad. Oh, shucks. Focus on governance in this country. And the myriad things that have gone wrong in the last 4 years, now heading to 5. God damn it. So the empire struck back today. Businessman, philanthropist, Azruddin Mohammed, rising political star, wailed into them. We reported on that on our Facebook page at Credible Sources. Wailed into them. Focus on governing. That was what you were elected to do. All the big money, the only places. You could go to Paris and you could go to Italy and you could go to Rome and you could go to Manhattan. But don't look down on anybody because you got 2 coins in your pocket now. They take from the Guyanese people. Don't do it. That's some of what Muhammad said there. And then, folks, the empire struck. The empire struck back.
Barack Jagdeo, and the least you could do
Barbados.
is show some respect
No big destination.
to Barbados,
You gotta be
Mr.
really
Jagdeo.
desperate to post.
I want to know what type of disrespect this guy, Barack Jagdeo, Vice President of Guyana, is approaching Barbados with. Barack Jagdeo get rich and switch now. Guyana get oil, so Guyana big and bad, and you in control now, Mr. Jagdeo.
You wicked.
But when nothing was going on in Guyana, Barbados aided up Guyana and the time in need. So for you to turn around and disrespect us, if not for the Prime Minister of Barbados, you wouldn't be in power today. Don't forget that the Prime Minister of Barbados came to Guyana, interfered into the election, ousted Granger, and that's how you, Barack Jagdeo, get back in power in Guyana. Let's not forget that your 2 terms constitutionally was up for president, and you came back as vice president because you didn't want done. And on top of that, you hear about oil money. You hear about oil money, and you want manage the oil money, so you come back as vice president. But it's people like you, Jagdeo, that continue to push disunity and CARICOM, and it's people like you who have had your time, who refuse to leave politics because the money and other things are a little bit too sweet. Are you making disparaging remarks about our country? So, Jagdeo, let me say something to you. Azudin Mohammed is welcome anytime in Barbados. But as for you, Jagdeo, we ensure that you're welcome. I feel that we're going to have to revoke your entry into Barbados. Mohammed is welcome anytime. Total disrespect, Jagdeo. And you should apologize to Barbados. No, you and Mohammed can have whatever taste y'all want to have, but leave Barbados out of it, Jagdeo.
Yeah, you heard that? Pay some power. Pay some power. Desiree, man the comments. There's I enable. It's 2 weeks, y'all. I have a neither. Elroy, Shelly. It's a Jagdeo trying to be nose. Trying to be nose in this fella. Huh? You know, like it's a scorn he talking about baby with. Take a look in case you missed
But
it.
really, if you go to Barbados, that's not no big destination you're going to. You got to be really desperate to post like your picture on Barbados. Say, look, I'm traveling now. It is like, I'm really, it's funny for me, frankly speaking, when you have to just big up Barbados as your big destination you could travel to. A man showed he was in Paris or somewhere else or in Manhattan.
Yeah, but the Empire struck back. The Empire struck back. Did we hear the fella say that Mia came and interfering? Like I won't pretend, folks. I don't want to pretend I didn't hear that. Leslin, Adele, Chisel Chip is you. I thought you gone. I thought you gone. Red, it's you come back. Good to have you on the live, Chisel. Did I hear that? I won't pretend, Marcy Agard. I didn't hear that. The Barbadians think that Jagdeo on the throne with Irfan as the puppet because of Mia's intervention. Put a crumb on the head. And now you're going to bite me a hand like that? Oh my God. Ibn Lami, I ain't able. Please and thank you. Did I won't pretend I didn't hear that. Kevon Spooner, Alson Cortez. Okay. Folks, the Barbadians woke up to then chose violence. And chose violence. How the people going going along with this story, peacefully and calm and quiet, keeping it to themselves. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So the Barbadians know the part that Mia play. That's what I mean when I say, we got the differences with Mia since 2020. But I don't want to ignore that Mia has grown on the international stage and is perhaps the CARICOM leader that Barrett and Irfan put together 1 meter quarter of. I want to be fair and honest like we buy James. Let me be honest. Both of them put together and James, you owe me quarter. Troy and Ashley, Troy and Anil, you owe me quarter. We still get little differences, 2020 and so on. But it doesn't preclude us from giving honor where honor is due. And Barbados is a beautiful country. So how could he say this? Abira, I tell you all, he woke up, the Barbadians woke up and chose violence. Woke up and chose violence.
But really, if you go to Barbados, that's not like no big destination you're going to. You got to be really desperate to post like your picture on Barbados. Say, look, I'm traveling now. It's funny for me.
Eat this man for lunch, no. When politicians start to talk foolishness, right? Somebody that's gonna come along and set the record straight. But right, let me show you what part the real Caribbean backbone is, man. Because you lost. Cause just so you play, you might want stretch cross the sea note to come and disrespect them. You real rat so brave for a man who country does black out more times than I does blink. But here talking out you netly, you teeth take a lunch break. And a name that sound like Carita or Gady Belly. Let me tell you something, man. We might be small, but we powerful about here, Chiefa. And we got the most exported icon in the Caribbean. Oh no. Rihanna. Rihanna, boss man. Guyana could barely export a decent Wi-Fi signal. Hot economics when one could stabilize when a current, man. See why you should keep your mouth quiet like GPL customer service though? Can't even fix you light bill system and you got to say the civil Barbados. It seemed like one quit to talk until it's time to produce a passport. And all of a sudden one is trainees. Shite, man, we GDP per capita got one of the little pyros out here in these streets. So until one can match that, keep your mouth quiet and hush up in here. You ain't want this type of tourism from Barbados here? Somebody in Guyana need to talk to this man and tell you to behave or get hit with 2 soft breadfruits. Imagine not having free education nor clean water and talking all over your face. But don't worry, man, you ain't get a chance to redeem yourself. We can schedule you public apology between 2 p.m. and you should have hushed to our soul up.
The Barbadians, they woke up and chose violence today. I mean, like, where do we even start? Where do we even start there? And that's two shows. The Wi-Fi. I thought Rihanna's real. I thought, you see, I pass. This government is causing. Venezuela claim half. And this country ready, and we know Rihanna's the next half. So the Barbadians know in front of your face, come and claim Rihanna. You see, Wi-Fi, education, power ship. 10 people know we whole story, top to bottom. We whole story, top to bottom. My God. Folks, I just want Jagdeo keep on talking. Why 3-hour press conference? Why not 6? Why not 6? Just keep on talking, Jagdeo. Right? Let stupid critics keep asking you foolish questions and you just keep talking for 6 hours. I can take you here alone. We need a proper journalist. What's a journalism? Huh? What is journalism? What's a journalist? You critics, take 6 hours. Just keep talking. Light bill. That's what it means to get a whole horoscope read. That is what Guyanese understand. When people say I can read your horoscope for you. We ain't talking about movements in the planets. That is how he's getting horoscope. Reading Guyana. No, this is I never do the Barbadians nothing. When I pass through Barbados, I follow every law. Pay the little tax. Eat the little scrumptious food in the airport. I go down the line. But you know what's fascinating here? I said it this morning, and I'll say it again. Oh, he cussed out Azruddin Mohammed, businessman, philanthropist, rising star in a political arena. He cussed him out. He had no, but he can't even talk properly. You can talk too much. You can talk too good. That's your problem. You can talk too good. He can't even talk. Oh, and he called it the M word. He called him the M word. Azruddin Mohammed. All my feelings rattling. How the Barbadians shook me up there. Azruddin went to Barbados. Uneventful trip. Come back, not a problem. Not a problem, you know. He stayed on cue, on point. Did his business and come back. But not statesman, Jagdeo. I could close the show right here. I had my money's worth. I could close the show right here. Jagdeo's supposed to be the statesman, you know. And if you see cuss on Facebook, since we published that excerpt from the Corner Shop show yesterday, if you saw them behemoths cut, I thought Guyanese could have cussed. I thought Otisha could have cussed, mother. Right? I thought Odessa and Melly Mel combined can't cuss like the Barbadians. The Barbadians inventive. You see? Between 2 o'clock and to RH, he could apologize. You would never think in a million years to construct, cuss, and abuse. Jack don't think he could abuse. He meet him match now. Folks, I ready to sign off. He meet him match. He meet him match. Maria Alicop, Chevron, and all the others. Oh, the proper cussy. You must check out our TikTok channel. Our TikTok. Please, credible sources on TikTok. We posted a video there. Oh, they cussy for the last 72 hours. Please and thank you. For the past 72 hours, Facebook and TikTok, it's pure cuss. But what I'm happy about is that Guyanese are apologizing profusely. Saying, don't judge us by this moron. Don't judge us by the man with the doctorate from some place he never been. Who demands you call him doctor? He got an honorary doctorate from some place that closed down 90 years ago. You see? True doctors, real doctors, don't operate like that. He don't operate in the same category. There's some quackters you got to deal with. There's some quackters you got to deal with. No proper doctor composes themselves like that and then profess to be a statesman. You with me? Leslie and making sense? Iron and Sparkle and Everett. Commissioner Cole are making sense. I know you went UG, Commissioner Cole. Are making sense? No proper doctor compose themselves like that. Please and thank you. So, folks, we are an embarrassed nation once more. We had a man on the international stage, rapper. Ow. We can learn a thing or two from mere Motley on the international stage. Rapper. Reparations, beating it like that. The same fella told us that the Africans came here for betterment. You remember that? All that we lived through. Mayor Motley could teach us a couple of things. Then lady understands her history understands the history of this, the history of CARICOM, the history of the Caribbean. Understand, we can learn a thing or two from this lady. If we decide to sit at the feet of wisdom and shut we damn out, Jagdeo. So we're embarrassed. And I want to do my part too of apologizing to our Barbadian brothers and sisters everywhere. And as Colleen, or rather Leslie Hamilton, is reminding me, how them people pelt GPL in my own chest. In my own chest, them people pelt GPL. And what are we going to tell them? You lie? Huh? What are we going to tell them? The lie? Is it true they're talking? Not like when your own country should come a box in the face. But think the PPK? You think the PPK? Huh? All them going to pull in the shell. Huh? All them going to pull Ashley and Anil and so on. All them going to pull in the shell and tuck in till the storm pass. And they know. Jagdeo ain't doing them no good, you know. They know he is bad news. As a matter of fact, he can cost them this election. He is going to cost them this election. Take me tell you. Let's touch on a couple of things. A couple other things before we head out of here. Good folks. Let us touch on a couple other things and then we head down the road. After a week like we've had, we can take a little rest. Them more than us. Two. Them more than us. Look, things that should concern him. You remember the tariff that hit us? 38%. They can't catch yourself as yet, you know. We saw this chamber come out today. This is the Guyanese American Chamber of Commerce. And some of what they said is very instructive. The Guyanese American Chamber of Commerce, they voiced strong opposition to the newly imposed 38% U.S. tariff. Strong opposition. Underline that. Underline it. Please and thank you. And they're warning of very, very severe economic consequence of this. Both for Guyana, they said in a statement, both for Guyana, these consequences, and the broader CARICOM region. The GACC, they've described this move as a drastic departure. But that's what we get with Trump. A drastic, yeah, I like Biden. Drastic departure from long-standing trade benefits under the CARICOM Basin Economic Recovery Act. This is which granted duty-free access to the U.S. for many products. But listen to this now. Remember I was telling you all just last evening, but we ain't bright. We ain't got ducked in front with name. We ain't bright like that. Hear what this chamber says. They're suggesting that the tariffs are a response to Guyana's emerging oil wealth. But they're arguing as well that they are unfairly penalized, right? These tariffs rather, unfairly penalize small and vulnerable economies and risk destabilizing thousands of agribusinesses. This is the crux of the matter now. Destabilizing thousands of agribusinesses, manufacturers, and US-based importers. You see, remember I told you this? It's when the shoe on the toe, then you know it pinching. When the shoe on the foot, then you know it pinching. All along, towing the line, singing from the same hymn book. I haven't heard the government repudiate the tariff. Remember I told you, when certain communities, if not right across the political spectrum in this country, going through hardship by term, they say, come. When you drunk, you don't ask the lifeguard, you up no years PPP. You just hollering, help. That's what Guyanese doing now. So you see this repudiation here? Because it hit in the pocket. Now this is what Jagdeo should be focused on. But I've said it a lot of times. They're distracted. Ladies and gentlemen, they are absolutely, positively distracted. And so yesterday in that press conference, you heard Dr. Jagdeo say this thing hit them like a ton of bricks. To use his words, he said he was blindsided. Blindsided. But it's studying it.
But really, if you go to Barbados, every country, the bigger your trade surplus is for the United States of America, the bigger the surplus is in percentage term, the higher would be your reciprocal tariff, because they take using this formula. So that is why and it's across the board. It is for friend and foe alike. The United States has applied this right across the board on the basis of this formula that we think that they applied. We're still to work closer with the U.S. government.
Yeah, you heard there, folks. We still to work. They don't know for sure was it calculation for this tariff, but he come up with your own Obia concoction there, and that is to perhaps to give Obia a bad name. With your own concoction there, and assuming what it is. Big assumption there. And while that was happening today, they're not focused on that. You know what they focus on? Muhammad. If he pray as much as he called that name Muhammad, he'd be in a better spot. He'd be in a better spot. While that was happening, I don't know if you all remember, weeks ago we started telling you all, since late last year, we were concerned about these business outsourcing operations that were shuttering here, right? The business processing outsourcing, BPOs that were shuttering here. Now, this was alarming to us in the first instance. But like I said, they're distracted. They spend an inordinate amount of time on Melly Mel, recruiting lobbyists, hacking, tapping people's phone. They're listening to our conversations all the time. Right? They're listening. Sometimes the people get so bored with the conversation, right? They would chime in. Say, you gonna take a lunch break now? You still talking here, man? You gonna take a lunch break now? I say so. You on the phone with Odessa or Melly Mel, and then you hear a third parties come in. You gonna talk whole day, man? I say, all right, well, let me get him by his rest. We can pick him back in an hour. They tap your phone. Dr. Terrence Campbell said they were parked outside his house. They watch your movements. They're distracted. They're not focusing on the things that should matter. Enter the accountant, who is the Minister of Finance. Enter Ashley Singh, the man that run away to Dubai and left the PPP and come back when it's time for Getty Brown bag. Enter Ashley Singh. He had a meeting today with stakeholders in the BPO sector, the business processing outsourcing. This is your teleperformances, your ITEL, because the whole thing is crashing. The whole thing is crashing. Now, when you read some of this, we're wrapping up. This is my penultimate finally as a preacher. As a preacher, as a man of politics, this is my altar on here now. This is my pulpit. As a man of politics, right? As a reverend, I meet Archbishop Asad in this thing yet. Folks, he should have been on this a long time ago, but they're distracted, you hear me? They're distracted. Now, some of what Ashley selling we buying, some of the headlines, and again, the serious journalists in this country, don't let stupid, canted journalists like Bordness run away the press conference. Half an hour, he asking a set of stupid questions. You don't go for the press conference to get legal advice or your personal matters. We're not interested in your personal matters. We don't get information we wanted. You get sued, you got to pay the people the $52 million, We're not interested in you seeking legal advice from Jagdeo during the press conferences. We want to hear about the national issues. So let him run away with that. And while they should be focused on things like the BPOs that are crumbling, and I did tell you, this is not the beginning of it. I didn't even think we meet halfway, but we're a little way in. I told you last week we saw, for instance, Teleperformance move from over 3,000 employees to 300. That is sent home. The difference there, because nothing you're doing. Acuity shut down. ITEL closed down. Medas BPO in Linden moved from hiring 100 to 30. Moved from hiring 100 to 30. And then they changed the name to Prochan. Trouble in the dance. Only Coconuts closed. Dembe closed. These are not BPOs, but they're businesses. In the oil and gas sector, GYSBI sent home 65 people in the fastest growing economy in the world. And we get time for abused up Barbados. We're distracted. We are distracted. That's what's happening here. Last week, as I said, when Teleperformance sent home all of those staff, now Ashley say, you know what? I should take a look at this thing. Ashley now wake up and say, I should take a look at this matter. But I saw in the headlines, Ashley saying, after meeting with these stakeholders here in the sector, the BPO sector, saying that they've agreed to provide them with labor. There's a labor shortage. Now, make it make sense. If Teleperformance sent home all those people, 2,700 people, is because they had a labor shortage. Prochan, Medas, ITEL, that's a labor shortage problem. Ashley, well, you have a break over here. Jagdeo is the czar of Caribbean integration, Caribbean unity, all things economic, all things legal. You want a physician, Jagdeo. You see? You want a pathologist, Jagdeo. Erasmus, reborn. You know everything. How you can tell him anything? Huh? How Winston Jordan can tell him anything? They want to hear the truth that Winston Jordan preaching. That's why they're fighting him now. But we're going to watch this, folks, to see where it goes. We are going to watch this to see where it goes. But it don't mean well for this country. All this money we got, and people suffering in this country, cost of living sky high. Then when you hit us with this 38% tax now, and people being sent home, left, right, and center, businesses closes. Isn't this the Dutch disease? Isn't this what the Dutch disease look like? In a land of plenty. People starving. We belly full. But we hungry. Nonetheless. And you tell me these are transformational people and leadership and so on. Huh? What kind of counter award y'all getting? You're buying awards now. That being said, folks, the closer. We started with the WPA and let us end with the WPA as well. Let's end where we started. Let us end where we started. What's the latest on coalition talks? Coalition 2.0. Nothing since the last time. Nothing since the last time. The last official word we had on coalition politics was this.
Look, basically what we have agreed is that the AFC will put their recommendations or their positions in writing, and then we will meet to address them. I can say to you, we haven't closed the door on coalition.
How did the talks go this morning?
I think the talks are useful, very useful. Hope is alive and kicking, and we look forward to further engagements.
is alive and kicking. The WPA weighed in on this in their press conference during the course of the week, and this is what they said. The WPA, the Working People's Alliance, Dr. David
As the
Ice.
PPP's vulnerability begins to manifest itself, WPA reiterates its belief that a grand coalition of opposition parties stands the best chance of unseating the ruling cabal in a free and fair election. While it is being said in some quarters that the opposition's base is not yet motivated, we believe that that condition is temporary. A coalition of the willing, guided by a united purpose and intent, would energize the base in short order. Notwithstanding the findings of various polls being circulated, WPA believes that a united coalition would prevail at the election. It is against this background that WPA urges our sister parties to quickly iron out their apparent differences. While negotiations over critical issues are normal in coalition building, WPA calls for consensus rather than confrontation. History will not be kind to us if we allow short-term differences to blind us to long-term implications. WPA recognizes that it is not a central player in the unfolding developments, which apparently are guided by perceptions and realities of electoral strength. We respect those dynamics. But for what it's worth, our party, armed with half a century of political experience, warns our comrades that there is great danger in substituting the party for the wisdom of the people and the lessons of history. We hope good sense prevails.
All right, that's the WPA weighing in there on coalition politics and coalition talks as of Monday, folks, where we left them. That being said, folks, we're going to leave it there. That's the time, and that's our program. It's been a privilege being here with you all week. We're going to see you guys back on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend. Pace and power, folks. The Empire strikes back. Have a great evening.